Yeah, I'll put myself on mute.
عفوا الله عنك يا شيخ. الآن الحجامة يقولون أنها لا تحجم في الشتاء، هل هذا صحيح؟
والله يا أخي أنا ما أدري، لكن مرجع هذا إلى الأطباء الذين يمارسون هذا الشيء.
ما ورد يا شيخ أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم شيء أنها احتجم أو أن احتجم؟
ورد أن الحجامة من أفضل أنواع الطب.
لا قصدي في الشتاء.
لا أدري.
هل الأعرابي المذكور سماحة الشيخ في الحديث الثاني هو صاحب الحديث الأول؟ الله أعلم.
أبو سلطان من الرياض.
السلام عليكم.
نحايل، تفضل أبو سلطان.
السلام. الله يحفظك. الذي دعوة موسى على فرعون، صحيح أنه 40 عام أجل الله عذاب فرعون بسبب أنه بار بأمه يا شيخ؟
شكرا. ما أدري يا أخي، ما أدري هذا. نعم شكرا.
ثم كما ذكرنا في الآية السابقة أوجب ربنا عز وجل على القسم الثاني من المجتمع الإسلامي وهم العلماء أن يجيبوا، ولا يجوز للعالم إذا سئل عن مسألة وعنده علم بها إلا أن يجيب عليها، لقوله عليه الصلاة والسلام في الحديث المشهور الصحيح: من سئل عن علم فكتمه ألجم يوم القيامة بلجام من نار. ومن آداب السؤال نقول بهذه المناسبة أن يسأل المسلم عما يتعلق بحياته، سواء حياته الخاصة بنفسه أو بأهله أو بمن يلوذ به أو له علاقة ما به، وألا يتعمق في الأسئلة عن أمور خيالية أو بعيدة الوقوع، فإن اشتغال المسلم بالواقع خير له من أن يسأل عن شيء يتخيله ولو أنه يتصور أنه قد يكون. لأن من أدب علماء السلف رضي الله عنهم أن أحدهم إذا جاءه سائل يسأله عن مسألة قال المسؤول: هل وقعت؟ فإن أجاب بنعم أجابه بما عنده من علم، وإن قال لما تقع لسه ما وقعت قال انتظر حتى إذا وقعت سألت، وحينما تقع فلا بد أن الله عز وجل يسخر للسائل من يفتيه بعلمه. لهذا نقول من الآداب أن نسمع الآن الأسئلة ونبدأ فيها بالأهم فالأهم ونجيب عليها بما يسر الله عز وجل، مذكرين لكم بأنه ليس من المفروض في العالم أن يجيب عن كل ما يسأل عنه. وقد جاء في بعض الآثار السلفية أن من أجاب عن كل ما يسأل عنه فهو مجنون، لأنه كما قال تعالى: وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. فإذا عجزنا عن الإجابة عن بعض الأسئلة فلا يستغربن أحد منكم ذلك، لأن هذه طبيعة البشر الذين طبعهم الله عز وجل بما سمعتم في الآية السابقة: وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. ولذلك أيضا جاء في بعض الآثار: نصف العلم لا أدري.
يقول فضيلة الشيخ: بالنسبة للشركات التي تقيم في منطقة معينة قد تصل إلى 20 سنة، إلا أن العمال يعملون شهرا بشهر، وعليه فإن الشركة
يعملون شهرا بشهر،
يعني شهرا يعملون وشهر إجازة يروحون عند أهلهم، وعليه فإن الشركة لا تخلو من العمال، فهل تجب على هؤلاء الجمعة؟
لا أدري.
آخر يسأل عن المسجونين: هل تجب عليهم الجمعة إذا كانوا في زنزانة أكثر من 3؟
لا أدري.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد. Then we are introducing this series, Islamic Fatawa for the Muslim Child, and it is a gift to every Muslim father and mother, a gift to every teacher and educator, a gift to everyone who has been given responsibility over these beautiful gifts, our children that we have in our possession. And it is a gift to the children themselves, the apples of our eyes and the fruits of our hearts. These fatwas are a gift to you, and we begin with the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. We ask our Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our apple of our eyes and to make us imams of the righteous. I am the host of these readings, Abu Muawiyah, and with us is Abdul Rahim. For those of you who don't know who Abdul Rahim is a brother. He's been a Muslim now for around 22 years. He accepted in Indonesia. He's been living in Kuwait since around 2007, on and off a little bit. And he is my good brother living with me here. Barakallahu fi.
فيك بارك الله أبو معاوية.
Jazakallahu khairan, Abu Yusuf. The purpose of these gatherings is to seek knowledge of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And someone might say, and the question has been asked, is reading the books of Fatawa, is that considered seeking knowledge? The answer was given by our Sheikh Abdul Karim al-Khudair when he was asked, is reading the books of Fatawa of the scholars considered knowledge? He said, Hafidhullah, yes, because these Fatawa clarify the rulings of the Islamic legislation. So it is a part of seeking knowledge. No doubt the Fatawa of the present day benefit those who read them, because the people who give these Fatawa are in touch with reality and they conform to it. And in a simple and easy language that the reader understands, even if he is from the general people. Therefore, we advise with the reading the Fatawa of the people of knowledge so that they benefit. No doubt answers to these current matters and newly arising issues which are present are needed by everyone, the general people and those who specialize in seeking knowledge. So this is a gathering of knowledge in the English language, which we hope to bring close to you. We are going to be reading a book, and this book has been translated. It is called Fatawa At-Tifl Muslim, the Fatawa for the Muslim Child. It is a collection of Fatawa by Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, Sheikh Ibn Abdullah Jabreen, rahimahullah, Sheikh Salih Al-Fawzan, hafidhullah, and Al-Lajnatu Da'ima, the permanent committee. So we're going to read these questions, inshallah ta'ala, and their answers. And with that, we'll begin. If you have anything you want to say before we start, Abba Yusuf.
Thanks for this initiative. Jazakallah khair. And inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it beneficial for all of the people who are watching this, all of the people that will watch the video eventually when it's loaded onto YouTube, and it will continue to benefit the people. And of course, us. Barakallah feek.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Now, some of what might be covered today in this book, which is called Islamic Fatawa for the Muslim Child, has been translated. It's 152 fatwas, like we said, from Bin Baz, Uthaymeen, Al-Jibrin, Fawzan, and the Illegitimate Daima. But what we'll cover some of today, inshallah, the children are bestowed by the will of Allah. We'll cover the idea of hating to be given females, and that this is a matter of, meaning giving daughters, having daughters, and that this hating to have daughters is a matter of pre-Islamic jahiliyyah or ignorance. Also, who receives the rewards for the deeds that the children do, and can an illegitimate child enter into paradise? Inshallah ta'ala, we'll begin with the first question. The question number one, which was answered by Sheikh Uthaymeen, he said, a person has been emotionally affected by the fact that Allah has not bestowed upon him children, and he does not know whether his wife has also been affected or not. The community around him subjects him to harsh treatment, and they blame him for this. Please advise us in this case. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Sheikh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah have mercy upon him, he said, do not worry, my brother, about the fact that you have not been bestowed with children. For Allah the Most High says in his majestic book, Lillahi mulku samawati wal ard, yakhluqu ma yasha. To Allah belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. He creates what he wills. Yahabu liman yasha'u inathan, wa yahabu liman yasha'u dhukur. He gives, or he bestows upon whom he wills, daughters, and he bestows upon whom he wills sons. Oh, yuzawijuhum dhukranan wa inatha, or he gives them both male and female. Wa yaj'alu man yasha'u aqima, and he makes whom he wills barren. Innahu alimun qadir. Indeed, he is all-knowing and capable to do all things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat, Sheikh Uthaymeen says, the Most High, the all-knowing, the all-powerful, he creates what he wills. It is he who writes for his servants what he wills. And he has mentioned in that regard, the bestowment of children to people are of four types. Either he grants them females, or he grants whoever he wishes males, or he grants them both males and females, or he renders some of them barren, not being able to have children at all. And all of this stems from his knowledge, wisdom, and power. Glory be to him, the Most High. It may be that this present situation is reversed and Allah bestows upon you children. For your part, as long as your wife does not demand from you children, then don't worry about her. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward her with good for her patience. And we ask Allah the Most High, the all-powerful, that he bestows upon us all success and reward, for indeed he is all-hearing and ready to answer.
SubhanAllah, you know, Muawiyah, I was just, as your, the question is interesting because I think a lot of our, when I was living in the UK, I was living with, you know, mostly Muslim brothers from the, you know, the Asian subcontinent, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And I noticed that that there's a lot of cultural baggage. You know, you have different cultural baggage from, like, say, when my wife's from Indonesia, you can see remnants of a previous culture in the people there. Just like in India, you can see, you know, some cultural things mixed in with Islam. So I think maybe this kind of fear of not being able to have children, or how do you put it? People get affected psychologically more by the cultural pressure than they do by anything else. You know,
no,
I think that's maybe a big consideration.
Yes, I've had many brothers. I even remember one brother, he stands out the most. He came to me crying one day because everyone around him was asking him when he was going to have children. He'd only been married like 12 to 14 months, you know, like when? And it was just, he was crying. And I was like, You know, I almost said, man, next time give them an answer that's so explicit that they're embarrassed to ever ask anyone again, you know, because a person is, even though this answer from Sheikh Uthaymeen is to the questioner, at the same time, it's also, if it reaches those people, it's to those people who are bothering him and causing him harm, because they're the ones who misunderstand this ayah that Allah renders barren some whom he wills. Look at Zachariah, only when he made dua, you know, and he was an old man and his wife was barren, and he was and he didn't have a child. Look at Ibrahim, he was 80 something. The Prophet ﷺ had 9 wives, and he only had 1 child from those 9. Now, of course, he had more wives before that, and Khadijah, but he had 9 wives at one time, and all the wives after Khadijah, only one of them gave him a child. This is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it, you know, we know that the Hadeeth exists where we want to have as many kids to make the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as big as we can possibly make it. At the same time, it's only up to Allah azza wa jal. You know, I used to say all the time, I want to have 4 wives and 10 kids from each wife. And then I had Muawiyah, and I didn't get married again, and then I didn't have any more children. And I said, you know, the scholar is harder on shaitan than 1,000 worshipers. So if I can make Muawiyah a scholar, inshallah, with Allah's permission, if I can put him in that position where he can become a scholar, then he'll be greater than 40 children who worship Allah, you know, barely. And I know many brothers with many children. Many brothers with many children. They're not able to travel overseas because they have so many children. And it was a ni'mah for me and my family to have that, you know. Anyway, the point is that people should not pressure them. This question, even though this question or the answer was for the person who asked it, at the same time, the answer was more so, and Allah knows best, for those people who caused the harm than the one who asked the question. Allah knows best.
It's interesting though, the community. He says emotionally and then community. So it's the Shaykh, subhanallah, what wisdom in the answer. MashaAllah.
Rahimahullah ta'ala.
Rahimahullah ta'ala, subhanallah.
Let's see if we have any comments over here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ameen. Tayyib. We can continue. Here's question number 2. You want to read it for us? Can you see it, or you want me to read it?
Sure. In these times, we have heard things from some people that instigate arguments and estrangement of such issues. Certain people are saying, we do not like that our wives give birth to females. Some of them even say to their wives, by Allah, if you give birth to a girl, I will divorce you. We absolve ourselves from them. Hence, you see a woman in severe distress concerning her situation as to what she would do if her husband fulfills his vow. So from your eminence, do you have any advice concerning this?
No. Again, Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, was the one who answered this. And wallahi, pay attention. The Shaykh is Hakim. Wallahi, Hakim. When we talk about, you know, them having knowledge, he saw right through these people's statements who say stuff like, if my wife gives birth, if you give birth, wallahi, I'm going to divorce you. Wallahi, he saw right through this. Listen, he said, I believe what this brother has just described is very rare. And I don't think anybody, due to his ignorance, could sink to this level as to threaten his wife with divorce if she gives birth to a girl, except if he has become tired of his wife and he wants to divorce her using this as a means. If it is such, and he has no patience with her, he has tried to stay with her, but he cannot, then he should outright divorce her, but not in this fashion, because there is no harm in divorce when there is a need. Along with this, we advise anyone who finds something in his wife that he detests to have patience, just as Allah the Most High said, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. He says, and if you dislike them, it may be that you dislike a thing and Allah brings through it a great deal of good. Surah An-Nisa, ayat 19. As for hating to be bestowed with females, there is no doubt that this is a matter of pre-Islamic ignorance, and it entails a type of anger towards the decree of Allah and what he destined. A person is unaware. It could be that a girl is better for him than many boys. For how many times has a girl become a blessing for her father in his life and after his death? And how many times has a boy become an indignation and a trial for his father during his life and not availing him anything after his death?
This reminds me of Surah Al-Takwir, you know, بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. SubhanAllah, when sometimes when I tell people, I remember I've got an interesting story about this one. When I was trying to first memorize some of the surahs from Juz'am, and I got to Surah Al-Takwir, and I remember I was slowly going through each verse and trying to memorize it. And when I got to this one in the Quran that I had, it was Dar es-Salaam, you know, one of those nice ones with a translation, and then it's got some additional hadith that explain, and some of the Tabari and some of the Ibn Kathir. And this verse came up, and it was Aydin bin Qutila, and I read it, and I was like, okay, let's see what it says. It said the pre-Islamic yani Jahiliyin used to, you know, dig a hole in the ground and put like a pretty dress on their daughters and push them in and bury them. This is something I don't know. Don't rely on that as an authentic narration, anyone. This is just my poor memory. But you know, the fact that someone would actually have a daughter and then do something like that out of a cultural norm, subhanallah, you know. And then I myself have 2 daughters. I have a sister. Obviously, I'm married. I've got a wife. I just can't. It doesn't compute, you know, how you could think of women in this way, subhanallah. So, man, I'm just thinking, you know, Allahu alam. But if the guy says, by Allah, if you give birth to a girl, I'll divorce you, maybe this is the best thing, that she gets rid of this man.
No, I spoke to Sheikh Fahad al-Fuhayd about this issue. I said that in order to enhance some of our comments here, I would ask some of these questions to Mashayikh, not to get something that may contradict this, but maybe add to the discussion. And I didn't ask this exact question here, but I said, rather, there are some men who divorce their wives for, you know, feeble matters, you know, things which are not important, you know, silly issues. So is there any advice, you know, for this? And he said basically what the Sheikh said, you know, that anything that you dislike in the woman, surely there's something in it that you like in her. And he brought the hadith with this meaning that whatever, if you dislike something in a woman, then surely there's something in her that you do like. And he brought another good point, and that was that if you're looking for perfection in a woman, you're never going to find it. Likewise, you're never going to find perfection in a man. So a man can't think he's perfect.
I was going to say, you think if anyone thinks they're perfect, you know, subhanallah.
Nah. So if you're going to get rid of her because of an imperfection, then the next one you get, you're going to get rid of her for an imperfection too, because you're searching for perfection and you're never going to find that. Subhanallah.
You know, Yusuf, she tells me, she said, you know, the woman is the mirror image. Like the attitude of the wife is typically the mirror image of the man. No. So if the husband is treating her, you know, the way she wants to be treated, she's going to treat him, you know, the way he wants to be treated. It's you know, of course there's huquq of the husband and the wife, but we're all humans. We're not perfect, you know. We no. It works. It really works. SubhanAllah. That really works.
No, so inshallah,
in my experience, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, we step up and be men and be men. You know, that's the key. You know, inshallah.
Wasn't there sorry, Abu Muawiyah, there was it reminds me of you probably know the narration better than me, but there was Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, didn't he have somebody came to him wanting to complain about their wife, and they found his wife being harsh on him and him being soft on her, something like that. I can't remember the narration.
Right. Yeah.
So you know this guy is you know, subhanallah, the men amongst men. So if he was kind to his wife, I mean, who do you think you are to be you know, tough on your wife? Subhanallah.
No, subhanallah. May Allah make us easy on our women.
Ameen.
There's the third question, inshallah. It's a simple, quick one. It was asked to the Illegitimate Da'ima, the permanent committee. The permanent committee is a group of scholars that was put together, I forget what year, some time ago. And basically, inside the Mamlaka, inside Saudi Arabia, they allow only certain people to give to give fatwas. And they have a list of people who they allow. And from that list of major scholars, it's called the Kibarul Ulama. From them, they take 4 or 5 of those people and put them on this permanent committee who they get together and they make fatwas. At this time, when these fatwas were answered, Bin Baz was in charge. Fawzan was probably there, Bakr Abu Zaid, and others at this time. In our time today, we have Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Sheikh. He's the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia. We have Ahmed ibn Ali Sir al-Mubaraki. We have Abdul Karim al-Khudair and Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Sheikh. These are some of the people on the permanent committee today. The question is, can a 1-year-old child, if it passes away, intercede for its parents and its grandparents? And the answer here is by the permanent committee, like we said. All praise be to Allah alone, and may He bless and send peace upon the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, and his companions. Allah will permit him to intercede for his parents. As for interceding for his grandparents, that knowledge lies with Allah.
They stop on where Allah stops and his messenger stops, subhanAllah. This is the beautiful thing.
Stop where the messenger stops. Don't try to think intellectually and take A to B to C to D. Everything doesn't work like that. Just say what Allah and his messenger said and leave it at that. So the answer was Allah will permit him to intercede for his parents. As for interceding for his grandparents, then that knowledge lies with Allah.
SubhanAllah.
Question
There's
number
in the answers of the ulama,
No.
SubhanAllah. I think it's always humbling to read and study, the struggles that the ulama went through to get their knowledge, and then just compare ourselves to them. And this should give us respect alone. This alone should give us respect for the scholars, when we sit in front of them. Or so many people these days, on Twitter, I see a lot of people criticizing ulama. Just, oh man, subhanAllah, they don't. I don't know what to say. It really, really saddens me that someone dedicates their life to studying and putting that much effort in, and then you've got some, Bakr or Zaid on Twitter just saying, this guy doesn't know, he's not in touch with the people, I don't know.
It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of reality. Is they have the foresight that the people don't have.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
When the fitness take place, they say, hey, don't do it, it's going to be a fitna. And the people say, no, rah, rah, rah. And then it's a fitna. And they said, we told you so, but what can we do? We can't make you do anything. But in another aspect of that question and answer is, look at like I said, at this time, the permanent committee, the one in charge was Bin Baz. You have the likes of Bin Baz, Fawzan, al-Sheikh, these people on there, and they're saying that knowledge lies with Allah. We can't overstep our boundaries,
SubhanAllah. I heard a beautiful story about Sheikh Bin Baz. May Allah have mercy on him. When he was on, there was a brother apparently that used to go around saying bad things about him, saying bad things about Salafis and stuff like that. And he, subhanAllah, alhamdulillah, he repented. But he said, I always wanted the opportunity to say, to Sheikh Bin Baz himself, because I said so many bad things about him. So he said, I was in Mina on Hajj, and he said, subhanAllah, I walked into my tent and there was the Sheikh. So I got the opportunity to actually personally explain to him and tell him, Sheikh, I did this, I did that, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? And the Sheikh said, I forgive you and everybody that ever said anything bad about me.
I was in Khaitan bookstore, this was, many years ago. And this brother came up and he gave me about 4 books, 4 or 5 small, 60, 70, 80 page books,
Yeah.
explanation of Thalathatul Usul, different little books like this, Quad al-Arba, like this by Muhammad Aman al-Jami. He said, here, these are for you. And I said, no, Akhi, I buy my own books, you know, alhamdulillah, I'm good, you know, alhamdulillah. He said, no, Akhi, I used to speak bad about the Sheikh, you know, and I used to have bad thoughts about him and speak bad about him. And now I'm going to reverse that by spreading his knowledge.
Subhanallah.
Allah yahfaz.
Jazakallahu khairan.
Ameen. Ameen. Tayyib. Question number 4. You guys, if you are on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, you're able to type in your question and we can see them, inshallah ta'ala. We can see them if you want to type it in. Now, we're not taking questions. As we said, we're reading the book, but that doesn't mean if it's a real question, we can't forward it to the mashayikh and somehow get you the answer. But right now, we're just reading the book in this particular majlis. Barakallahu feekum. You want to read for us, Abu Yusuf?
Sure. So question 4, are the deeds of a child who has not yet reached the age of puberty, such as prayers, hajj, and the reading of Quran, entirely attributed to his parents, or are they attributed to him?
Okay, this answer is by Sheikh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala. He says, the good deeds of a child who has not yet reached the age of puberty, and the reward are for him and not for his parents or anybody else. His parents are rewarded for having taught him to perform these deeds, for directing him to good, and for helping them in them. This is indicated by the hadith in Sahih Muslim, narrated by Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, that a woman lifted a child to the Prophet ﷺ during his farewell Hajj and said, O Messenger of Allah, is there a Hajj for him? And he said, yes, and there is a reward for you. The Prophet ﷺ informed that the Hajj is for the child and that his mother is rewarded for her Hajj with him. Similarly, there is a reward for others besides the child's parents for the good that they do, such as teaching orphans, relatives, servants, and others, due to the Prophet ﷺ saying, for the one who guides to good is a reward similar of that the one who performs it. Narrated by Muslim in his Sahih, and this is because it is from the assisting of one another in the virtue and fearfulness of Allah, and that He, glory be to Him, rewards for this.
SubhanAllah. This is
So
the adl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the right, the justness of Allah.
Now, in summary, just real quick, that is the reward for the deed itself is given to the child. But the reward that the parents or the teachers or whoever it may be, the imam of the masjid, whoever it may be, then he gets the reward for teaching and for directing and helping. But there are the reward for the deed itself goes to the child.
This reminds me of Muawiyah. You know, if anyone's watching this, or anyone does watch this, and they're contemplating becoming a Muslim, even if you're 80 years old, if you embrace Islam wholeheartedly, Allah will forgive your sins like you're a newborn baby at that point. So it just reminded me of that, you know. So if anyone's watching this who's thinking about becoming a Muslim, you know, don't hesitate, don't delay.
Don't delay. Accept Islam today, mashallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 5. Ya Yusuf.
Okay. Number 5. What is the final destination of the children of the believers and disbelievers?
Now, and here, in the actual book, it says, what is the final destination of the children and the believers who die at an early age? Right? So they die while they're children, right? The Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he says, the final destination of the children of the believers is paradise because they follow their parents. Allah the Most High said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعْهُمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ بإيمان ألحقنا بهم ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء كل امر بما كسب رهين. Oh, kama qala Allah Azza wa Jal. He says, and those who believe and whose offspring follow them in faith, to them we shall join their offspring, and we shall not decrease the reward of their deeds in any. Every person is a pledge for which he has earned. Surah At-Tur, Ayah 21. As for the children of the disbelievers, that is the child who is raised from two parents who are not Muslims. The most correct opinion concerning them is that we say, Allah knows what they would have done, for they are in the status of their parents according to the rules of this world. As for the rules of the next world, Allah the Most High knows what they would have done, as the Prophet ﷺ said, and Allah knows their destination. This is what we maintain, meaning this is what we hold as a position. It is a matter that does not affect us much, as that concerning us are their rulings in this world, which are like that of the disbelievers. They are not bathed, they are not shrouded, prayed over, nor are they buried in the graveyard of the Muslims, and Allah knows best.
SubhanAllah. I always like to qualify though, and if there's anyone who's watching this who's not a Muslim, you know, and I hear this a lot, you know, Abu Muawiyah, when people would say, you know, you call us kuffar and you call us disbelievers. It's like, well, it's not actually meant to be derogatory. It's meant to be like a statement of fact. Those who are Muslims believe in, you know, the Risala of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those who are disbelievers disbelieve in that Risala. So it's not just, if anyone's watching this, this is not a derogatory term. We're not sort of waving our fingers at you and saying, you know, oh, disbeliever. It's just, you know, it's just a very logical breakdown of two different sets of people. Just to clarify that.
Yeah, and we're not shy. Allah says, "Kul ya ayyuhal kafirun," or you disbelieve, and it's not meant, and it can be meant. It can be meant as a warning and a statement of awakening, attention in you, because you know, I wouldn't want to be called that. At the same time, it's not meant to belittle you or to make you less than a human or anything like that. And if you want to fix it, just believe.
Because I mean, again, we had a lot of non-Muslims living, you know, alongside Muslims. So that's the whole purpose of the Islamic society supports that, you know, with the jizya. Muslims pay zakat, the people of the book pay the jizya, and so on and so forth. You know, there's legislation for that. So it's not, you know, you wouldn't find Muslims going around in the streets saying, "Ya kafir," you know, like, "Oh, disbeliever." It would.
No,
you know what I mean? That the society is designed for people to you know, to work together under the Islamic law. But yeah, because I honestly see so many crazy comments on social media about this, Abu Muawiyah, you know, from mostly, you know, extreme evangelists, but it's quite disturbing because they get a lot of press, they get a lot of views on their videos, and it just upsets me when such a beautiful religion as Islam is being sullied by people that really just don't understand it.
No. Yeah, you know, it's a shock value. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that and make us firm on true knowledge, inshallah.
Ameen, ya Rabb.
Here, Sheikh Ibn Jibreen, rahimahullah, he was asked, I have heard that there is a blessed hadith of which the meaning is, verily paradise is forbidden for the illegitimate child. Is this hadith authentic? And if so, what is the sin of this child who will have to bear the error of its parents and their sin? SubhanAllah. So the hadith, Inna ibn zina tuhrim alayhi al-jannah. Right? The Sheikh Ibn Jibreen, Abdullah ibn Jibreen, rahimahullah, he says, it is stated in a hadith reported by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Waladu zina sharru thalatha. He says the illegitimate child is the worst of the three. SubhanAllah. Right? He's the worst of the three. This hadith is narrated by Ahmed and Abu Dawood. Some of the scholars have went to explain the meaning of this hadith. He is the worst, and three are the worst of three, meaning in origin, in descent, and in birth. This is because he is created from the sexual emission of the adulterer and the adulteress. This emission is evil, of scheming origin, and thus it is not assured that this evilness will not affect and induce him into evil. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala absolved Maryam alayhi salam of evil in his words when he said, وَمَا كَانَ أَبُوكِ إِمْرَأً سَوْءٍ وَمَا كَانَتْ أُمِّكِ بَغِيًّا. Your father was not one to commit adultery, nor was your mother unchaste. So despite this, he is not accountable for his parents' sin. Due to the Most High's words, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, and no bearer of burden shall bear the burden of another. Surah Al-An'am, ayat 164. Anyhow, the sin of adultery and its punishment in this world and the next is upon the parents. However, it is not guaranteed that this will not induce him into evil and corruption. But this is not always so, for it may be that Allah makes him upright and he becomes a scholar or an Allah-fearing person, and thus be the best in three, and Allah knows best.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, it's feared that some of our bad deeds will be the cause of ill effects on on our family. That's why obviously one of the main reasons to avoid doing it. What is the Arabic al-jaza min jins al-amal?
No.
May Allah
and also, I looked up this hadith, waladu zina sharru thalatha, and here it talks about in their origin, meaning from the illegal sexual fluids, in their descent, meaning they're coming from people who do this foul action, and in birth, meaning outside of marriage. However, they also talk about it in more detail, and they say, because someone might say, but hold up, man, what has the kid done,
right,
evil affecting the kids? Well, number one, it didn't say that it will necessarily affect the kids, but it can. And the reason behind that is if you have two parents who are raised openly disobeying Allah to the point where they find themselves alone doing this type of act, and that they follow through with it, having the kid, and they raise this kid, they're raising him in disobedience of Allah. So if he's raised, if they're living in disobedience, and this kid is raised while his parents are living in disobedience of Allah, we know that the person who recites Quran and prays 5 times a day and guards his gaze and sticks to the dhikr of Allah, and this, we know that person is most likely not falling into this type of act. The person who's falling into this type of act is the one who is not praying 5 times a day. He's not reading the Quran. He's listening to music. He's not keeping good company. And that's why he's allowed himself to fall into this act. And so if they continue like that, then that's going to have an evil effect on that child. And he's going to be, whereas maybe the parents knew it was wrong and fell into it, he's raised not even necessarily knowing it's wrong.
SubhanAllah, I think it's the two people that are willing to carry out such an act. Karamakumullah, the environment that they'll foster for the child is likely not to be one of solid Islamic foundation, should we say? No. But at the same time, we would hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give the child obviously every opportunity, once he becomes of age to because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he treats all of us justly. We're all going to be treated justly. We have to have had the same opportunities to know about Islam and to embrace Islam so that it will be just on the day of judgment. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't treat anyone unjustly. So subhanallah.
No. Okay, here we have question number 7. Again, anyone on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, if you type in your questions, they can be popped up. Let me just show you real quick how we have someone named Yaqub here. We can pop your question up there. He says, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
says Assalamu alaikum, right? You can do that. You can pop your questions up here like this. So if you have any, inshallah, let us know. And or comments, not just questions. We're not answering other questions, but if there's a question related to this and we can clarify it, then we'll try our best, inshallah. Okay, question number 7, Abba Yusuf.
Question 7. Will the illegitimate child enter paradise if he obeys Allah or not? And is there any sin upon him?
Okay. The answer, and this is obviously related to the question before it. He says, and this is answered by the permanent committee. The question before that was also by Sheikh Jabreen. He says, or they say, no sin is attributed to the illegitimate child, walad zina, right? As a consequence of his parents perpetrating the crime of adultery, because that is not from his earnings, that is not from his deeds. But their sin rather is upon themselves, meaning for the parents. For Allah the Most High says, Laha ma kasabat wa alayha maktasabat. He gets the reward for what he has earned, and he is punished for what he has perpetrated. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, and no bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another. His position as to his destination is a different state of affairs. For if he obeys Allah, performs good deeds, and dies upon Islam, for him is paradise. If he disobeys Allah and dies upon disbelief, then he is from the inhabitants of the hellfire. If he mixes good deeds with bad deeds and dies as a Muslim, then his affair is with Allah. If he wills, he will be forgiven, and if he wills, meaning Allah, he will be punished, and his final destination will be paradise by Allah's grace and mercy. As for the hadith stating that the illegitimate child will not enter paradise, it is fabricated. Successes with Allah the Most High, and may he bless and send peace upon our Prophet Muhammad, his family, and his companions.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Man, these invented hadith, man. SubhanAllah, I don't know if you know any more about it than me, but what kind of people like fabricated hadith back in the day? And I mean, do we know anything about that, or I'm just asking? I don't know enough about ilm al-hadith, to be honest with you. But then, were there times you know of that when people?
Yeah, some people fabricated hadith. Some people fabricated hadith in order to support their particular group, their particular party, whether they be a madhab. Maybe their madhab, they brought a hadith against Shafis, or maybe the Shafis, for example, brought a hadith talking about this great man coming named Muhammad ibn Idris, or maybe the Hanafis talked about a great evil man named Muhammad ibn Idris, meaning Shafi, rahimahullah. So they would fabricate hadith to support their group or to put down the other group. And there are also times when they would fabricate a hadith in order to try to help the Islam out of ignorance, not knowing any better. So one man was known for creating a lot of hadith regarding the virtues of surahs. If you recite this surah is 50,000 hasanat, 55 million hasanat, like this. And so they asked him why he do it. He said, because I find the people not reading the Quran, so I wanted to encourage them to read the Quran. But it's all false. There are enough authentic hadith that we don't have to rely upon those which are inauthentic and much less fabricated.
Hey man, subhanallah. Yani imagine كل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. I mean, this is bid'ah. What about lying on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Man, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar." Whoever lies upon me intentionally, let him take his seat in the hellfire.
Subhanallah.
Here's a question. Maybe the brother Yaqub. He says, is an illegitimate child produced from zina? Yes, that's the meaning of illegitimate child, meaning one born out of wedlock. That is the meaning of zina, of illegitimate child, walad zina, the one produced out of wedlock. Barakallahu feekum. Tayyib. The last question we'll cover for today, inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully we haven't went too long on the people. You want to read it for us, Abba Yusuf?
Sure. Number 8. Are children from the bestowments of a sheikh? Is he the one who increases sustenance and decreases it? And what is the ruling of disbelief? I got shocked reading the question, to be honest.
No.
Subhanallah.
No, inshallah. Just to go back, we have a question. No, we'll answer that inshallah later. Give me a second. We'll read the answer to this first. We won't confuse ourselves. I apologize. Are the children from the bestowment of a sheikh? Is he the one who increases sustenance or decreases it? And what is the ruling of this belief? And like you said, it's a shocking question. It was answered by the permanent committee. He who believes that children are from the bestowments, meaning min ata'i ghayrillah, from someone gave them that child other than Allah, and that other than Allah increases sustenance and decreases it, whoever believes that is a mushrik, a disbeliever, one who commits shirk. A shirk worse than that of the pre-Islamic Arabs and others similar to them. For they, despite their ignorance, if they were asked who provides for them from the sky and the earth, who brings forth the living from the dead and the dead from the living, they would reply, Allah. They worship their false gods due to their assumption that they would bring them closer to Allah. Allah Most High said, Kul man yarzukukum min as-sama'i wal ard. أَمَّنْ يَمْلِكُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَمَنْ يُخْرِجُ الْحَيَّ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ وَمَنْ يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ فَسَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ فَقُلْ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. What means, say, O Muhammad, who provides for you from the sky and from the earth, and who owns hearing and sight, and who brings out the living from the dead, and who brings out the dead from the living, and who disposes the affairs? They will say, Allah. Say, will then you not be afraid of Allah? Will you not have taqwa? Right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He also says, that was in Surah Yunus, ayah 31, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُنَا إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْكُمُ بَيْنَهُمْ فِيمَا هُمْ فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي مَنْ هُوَ كَاذِبٌ كَفَّارٌ. And those who take protecting helpers besides Him say, we worship them only that they bring us nearer to Allah. Verily Allah will judge between them concerning that where they differ. Truly Allah guides not him who is a liar and a disbeliever. Surah Az-Zumar, ayah 3. Furthermore, He said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَمَّنْ هَذَا الَّذِي يَرْزُقُكُمْ إِنْ أَمْسَكَ رِزْقًا. Surah Al-Mulk, ayah 21, which means, and who is He that can provide for you if He should withhold His provisions? It is established in the Sunnah that only Allah possesses bestowment and deprivation. An example of this is the narration of Bukhari in his Sahih under the chapter Remembrance After the Prayer, that Warrad, the scribe of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, radiallahu anhu, said, Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah dictated to me in a letter to Muawiyah that the Prophet ﷺ used to say after every prescribed prayer, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir Allahumma la mani' lima a'tayt wa la mu'tiya lima mana'at wa la yanfa'u dhal jaddi minkal jadd. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah alone with no partner. He is the dominion, and His is all, and to Him belongs all praise, and He is capable of all things. O Allah, there is none to withhold that which you have given, and none to give that which you have withheld, and no possessor of wealth and majesty can avail any. From you is all wealth and majesty. Imam Muslim narrated similar to this in his Sahih. Allah provides His slave with a family and extends His provisions because of his supplication to Him only. This is apparent in Surah Ibrahim, from the supplication of Ibrahim, the close friend of Allah, to his Lord who accepted his supplication. In Surah Maryam and Al-Anbiya and other surahs that recall the supplication of Zachariah to his Lord and the acceptance of it, as it is affirmed from Anas radiallahu anhu, that he said, I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, whoever it pleases him that he should be expanded in his provision and extended in his lifespan, he should keep the family ties. This is narrated by Bukhari and Muslim in their Sahih collections. That's the end of what the permanent committee had to say.
SubhanAllah. It reminds me of, I used the word reminded. I remember from Sheikh Abu Salah, I saw one video clip from him, was it where he was talking about, did you ever ponder why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْر? Why did he say أهل الذكر? Why didn't he say أهل العلم, or or something else? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose this? Because the dhikr, the nobility of dhikr. What I think, if I understood that Arabic right, this was the message, the whole idea of the remembrance of Allah, the dependence upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, Yusuf, she reminds me quite often, those people that make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is allowing you to make dhikr of him. So the fact that you're making dhikr, you should also be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing him to remind you to make dhikr of him. SubhanAllah. So then people start talking about bestowments from a sheikh, man. SubhanAllah. May Allah protect us from this shirk and kufr.
I mean, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is something that Muslims should not be feel confident from, that they're safe from it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to seek refuge from shirk. Ibrahim Khalil ar-Rahman used to seek refuge from shirk. The prophets in the Quran used to seek refuge from shirk, and for them and for their progeny. And so this is something that is important, that we as well do not feel safe from. As well, I see in this question, man, that subhanAllah, this question is being asked in an Arab land by Allahu Alam, by Arabs, to this committee. Allah knows best. I feel like me and you could answer that question. This is shirk, you know what I mean? But this is, and we're not like, Tulab al-Ilm with master's degree in Sharia or anything like this. We're just, Joe Blow Muslims, subhanAllah, everyday Muslims. And this type of question, and you see these things exist. You think like, maybe this is only in the books, this type of shirk, but then you find you live amongst the Muslims, they actually do read teacups. They actually do believe in tayyara, where they, follow the bird. Does it go this way or that way? You find them actually implementing that stuff today, and you get scared.
They find sihr, that the alat of sihr in Kuwait, in the sea, buried in chairs and stuff like this. It's subhanAllah, man. I remember reading something or listening to something of one of the Talab al-Ilm saying, he saw a guy in Hajj wearing one of these ta'weez and around his neck, and he eventually convinced him to take it off. And when he opened it up, they eventually opened it up. It was tightly wound, and there was all sorts of odd symbols in there. And the guy was saying, there was 4 or 5 of us there. We all spoke different languages. None of us had any idea what these symbols were. It's, people are still doing this stuff. It's incredible. I mean, it's scary. May Allah save us from that.
I mean, somebody asked on TikTok, what would be the position of the non-Muslim child on Judgment Day? Maybe they came in a little bit late. Zaki 7979. That was the 5th question. What is the destination of the Muslim children and the non-Muslim children, meaning on the Day of Judgment? And we said the Muslim child follow their parents. They'll be in paradise. And the non-Muslim children, then we say, Sheikh Uthaymeen, he said our position is, and we stand firm and we maintain that Allah knows their destination. Allah knows what they would do had they had lived an entire life. Allah knows if they would accept Islam and became good people, then He knows what to do with them. That if they had lived, this is what they would have done. And He also knows that if they had lived, they would have continued on their path. And so Allah knows what their final destination would be and what they would have done had they lived. And so we leave it at that. Allah knows best where they'll be, and that doesn't concern us who goes where or not. What concerns us is what we do with and how we treat one another in this life.
And I think we know that again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just, the most righteous. So He would not treat anyone without that, prerequisite. He's made it upon himself to be just and righteous to us.
No.
So nobody would be treated with any, lack of that justice. Nobody will be able to say on the Day of Judgment, you didn't treat me with justice. That's not fair. I mean, that's just Allah. It's not. Am I mistaken, Muawiyah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it impermissible. One of the things he made impermissible upon himself, or am I talking out of my hand?
No.
Yeah. So subhanAllah, this is also very important to bear in mind when people, what about this? What about that? Allah is the most just. So we know and we believe in him, and we believe that he's the most just, and we trust in his judgment. So
no. This is what I wanted to cover today. We've reached an hour, inshallah ta'ala. I hope this was enjoyable for you, Abba Yusuf, and as well as our other listeners and those people who watch, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to try to do this every Yom Sabt, every Saturday at the same time, 9 p.m. Mecca time, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York, and 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, St. Louis and Chicago. We would ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, or follow us on our channel. Let me give you something here real quick. I got something set up for Abu Yusuf. If you want to follow Abu Yusuf, you can come down here at the bottom. His name is going to come up here, Abdurrahim Roberts. It's spelt like this in a little bit weird way for us in English. It's not two eyes, but it's 2 eyes. Right? Abdurrahim Roberts. You can look him up on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. He's got almost 60,000 followers on TikTok, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
And he makes some nice videos about his story. He talks in Arabic, he talks in English, sometimes he talks in Indonesian, mashallah. Trilingual over here, And so follow his channel, subscribe to him, like his videos. All of this helps. We're not monetized and we're not looking to get paid from YouTube or monetization. But what it does help us do is when you interact, when you like, when you subscribe, when you leave a comment, it causes YouTube to realize that, hey, this person is putting out content which the people are engaging with and liking. So therefore, let's share it to other people's feeds who may not have seen them before. And then it goes into their feeds and they get a chance to try to check us out, inshallah ta'ala. Share the video with your family and friends. And with that, if you want to say anything, otherwise we'll conclude, Abu Yusuf.
No, just I just like to say Jazakallah khair for that, for Muawiyah, again, for this initiative. And also, anyone watching this, again, for the da'wah who's likes to talk about non-Muslims and people like us with beards. We're not scary people. We're very approachable. Our job is to tell people about the religion with the knowledge that we have, and and then it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to for those for those people to be held account for whatever we've told them, and is in it's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not upon us to force anybody. So that's for the people who are watching this, who are maybe seeing two guys with beards and going, feeling a bit, we're not scary people.
No, inshallah.
Inshallah. I hope nobody's scared of me.
No. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. With that, we conclude. Inshallah, we'll see you next week at the same time. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. For those who said Jazakallah khairan, wa iyyakum, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.